Zhiyun Weebill 3. There we go. Probably wasn't the smartest way to unbox something. There it is. All right, so we've got the brand new Zhiyun Weebill 3, and I don't know why I unboxed it because I've been using this for the past few weeks now, but you know, unboxing for the theatrics. The Weebill 3 is actually pretty awesome, and you can check out some footage that I shot with this gimbal starting right So in 2018, the first Weebill gimbal came out. I think it was called the Weebill Lab. It was mostly made out of plastic, but you know, it did the job for lighter cameras. Then after that, the Weebill S came out, still mostly made out of plastic, but stronger motors. And then the Weebill 2 came out with a flip screen, remember that? And then finally we have the Weebill 3, combining all the features from the entire Weebill gimbal line into this very sweet new gimbal. They're still building out offices here in the building, so we're just gonna have to deal with this together. All right, let's talk about the Weebill 3. First, the design. I love the ergonomics of this gimbal. It definitely has more of the rugged premium feel from the Crane 3S and Crane 2S. You've got the typical Zhiyun buttons. You have the mode button, record button, the trigger button in the front. You have the wheel, the joystick, the touch menu screen. Of course, you got the locking mechanisms for all the axes to help you balance your gimbal, and also to prevent the arms of your gimbal going all over the place if you decide to pack this gimbal in a suitcase, which I've done without a case, and the gimbal is totally fine. And just like the other recent Zhiyun gimbals, there is a built-in light with magnetic filters, that's really nice, as well as a built-in microphone, also very nice. You have another wheel to control the brightness and color temperature of the built-in light. You got the menu button on the side, power button down below, and of course a USB-C port to charge the whole thing. Are they gone? Oh, I think they're finally gone. Yes. All right, let's talk about motor strength. The motors on the Weebill 3 are very, very strong. In fact, so strong that it supports my Sony a7S III plus 24-70 G Master lens, which is a very front-heavy setup. And in that entire time of filming, there were no shakes, no jitters, none of that stuff, which goes to show how strong the motors on the Weebill 3 really are. You might notice that the Weebill 3 doesn't have that little bump that stands out like the other gimbals where you can hold the gimbal in underslung mode. Instead, Zhiyun has provided this telescopic handle so that you can operate the gimbal in underslung mode. I'll be honest, I'm not really a big fan of this, but I am a big fan of the wrist rest. It's right over here. Now, the wrist rest is meant to support your wrist if you are holding your gimbal in low angle modes. Like, see how it does over here? Like, I'm gonna just pivot the gimbal just like so. And because of this wrist rest, it's giving me support and doesn't really tire out my arms so much. And so yeah, it's actually a really cool feature and an accessory that I'm probably gonna keep on the Weebill 3 at all times. It's actually really, really cool. All right, so it's getting a little bit dark right now. Sun is just setting, but what's great is that if you still want to light up your subject while operating the gimbal, you can activate the built-in light. There's a wheel on the right side of the gimbal, and if you press and hold, the light will turn on just like so. And on the wheel, you can scroll up, scroll down to determine the intensity or the color temperature of the light. So right now, I'm controlling the intensity. That's nice. I'm gonna hit it again. I'm gonna change the color temperature. That's daylight, tungsten. So yeah, it's a really handy feature, especially if you're in the journalism field. Like, to light up the subject that you're filming just makes it so much easier because of the built-in light. And then to turn it off, just press and hold, and the light turns off. Just overall thoughts, I think it's a fantastic gimbal for one to travel with, even though it's not as small as a Crane M3. It's definitely packable. Like, I could just toss this in my suitcase and it was totally totally fine. The overall build of the Weebill 3 is pretty solid. In fact, it reminds me of the Crane 2S or the Crane 3. Definitely a far cry from the previous Weebill models. Like, this is just built really, really well. I've been very impressed with the motors of the gimbal, and it could totally support a setup like this, a full-frame Sony camera, and a very heavy 24-70 G Master lens. And even though I could film with the lens extended all the way at 70 millimeters plus a lens filter, there were some times where the lens would just drop down because it was probably too front heavy. And so if you're looking for a really, really strong gimbal to handle heavier lenses, then I would consider looking at the Crane 2S or the Crane 3S. But for like 99% of most people out there that want a high quality, high performing gimbal, the Weebill 3 is totally it. But I gotta say, probably my favorite feature of the Weebill 3 is actually the wrist rest. It's just so cool and so practical. Like, I can do low profile shots, and I have this little wrist rest to support my wrist because it's resting on it. It's very, very cool. But yeah, I think I've narrowed down my gimbal setup. I got my travel gimbal, the Crane M3, and a production gimbal, the Weebill 3. Anything else? I don't know. I dig it. I mean, there's nothing to complain about really, other than the telescopic handle. I don't know if I could see a use for that for underslung mode. I much rather prefer using the wrist rest for underslung mode. Battery life is pretty kick butt. Motors are pretty strong. Great for travel, great ergonomics, very responsive in terms of just overall performance. And yeah, a pretty kick butt gimbal. So good job, Zhiyun. You made a pretty sweet gimbal. Hello. YouTubing outside. All right, big guy, sun's setting real low, and so I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, thanks Zhiyun for sponsoring this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.